الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
قل أعوذ برب الناس.
Okay, it's time to answer some of your questions. I'm down in Florida again. So what I want to do is look at the comments that you have made and try to respond to them as best I can. And here's one by someone named Polak, P-O-L-A-K. And he says this, referring to the Jamarats. Remember we talked about the Jamarats. These are these towers. When you go to Mecca today, here's a picture of them. There are 3 towers. Notice that? 1, 2, 3. But when you go to the original Jamarat that we talked about, that Dan Gibson refers to in Petra, it's only 1 tower. So why has 1 tower become 3 towers? 1 in Petra has now become 3 in Mecca. Well, this is what Polak says. Are there 3 pillars spread out now for, number 1, to accommodate the large amounts of people? Or B, to symbolize the 3 times in their beliefs that Abraham allegedly stoned the devil? Why did it change from 1 pillar to 3? And I think you've answered your own question, Polak. Yes to both of them. See, what happens is when you take the sanctuary, which originally was in Petra, where there was only 1 tower, and you would throw stones at the devil, 1 devil, there in Petra, and those stones were thrown, and the Jamarat has been found by Dan Gibson. Here's a picture of the foundations of it. When you then move that sanctuary, as the Abbasids did, as Ibn Zubair more than likely was the one that initiated that and brought it back down to where he lived, back in the Hijaz, down to what is today Mecca, much further in the south, the pilgrims started following, and as the pilgrims increase, and this is something that happened over the centuries, as more and more of them, now we know millions come, but back in the last 1300 years, when Mecca was finally chosen, you can then understand why they had to accommodate that, and they had to, listen, you throw stones, and if there are large crowds, some of those stones don't hit the Jamarats, they hit the people in the front. In fact, here's a picture, take a look at this, here's a picture today of the older Jamarats that were a few years ago, where because of that problem, they had umbrellas. They put umbrellas there to accommodate that, to keep making sure that people didn't get hit, because you can get hurt by those stones. And so it was obvious that there were too many people at 1 stone, so they had to build 2 more.
So in this video, we'll be exposing the false potato my idiot and his side chick, the idiot club Christian, because they would agree with J. Smith on everything that he says. And J. Smith, as you have seen in the video, in the first video, they actually put like writing, right? And in the writing he includes that the Muslims used to stone 1 Jamra. Where did they come up with 3 Jamrat? And then in the video you would see that J. Smith says there was only 1 Jamra that existed at the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, and he would also say that the Muslims only stoned 1 Jamra, right? Not 3. The 3 were invented later on because of the huge crowds. This is not true. The 3 were not invented for large crowds, and we'll see the hadith in Bukhari later and through this video, that during the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the Prophet would stone 3 Jamarat, and Abdullah ibn Umar would stone 3 and say that this is how I saw the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ do, right? He would do the exact same thing whenever he would stone 3 Jamarat. So the 3 Jamarat did exist at the time of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, at the time of the Sahaba as well, and so they would follow the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, what he would do on these 3 Jamarat. Now, it's not because the crowds were huge, and if you look back then, the crowds were not as huge as today, so it wouldn't make sense to say that 3 were made later. No, this is the Prophet Hassan used to stone 3 Jamarat, and the Sahaba would do the same as well. So through this video, J. Smith points out like is stoning the devil, right? And he actually says in the video, if you watch the full video, he actually said that the Muslims stone it because of the devil. And this actually, and he says that this is made up Muslim theories later on that will come. So this is not actually made up. It is found in a hadith of Musnad Ahmad, and it is marfu'. Hadith is marfu', and it is narrated by Ibn Abbas, right? You know that the Muslims, that this is the case because Ibrahim, each time he would go to these three places, Satan would appear to him. The same Satan would appear to him, and he would stone him to stop him from tempting him, right? Do not slaughter Ismail. Now this is actually a weak hadith by Al-Albani, puts it in a silsila da'ifa in his book about da'if hadiths. But when J. Smith said there was no mentioned history, this is a made up Muslim concept, this is wrong, because this is in a hadith that is da'if. Okay, so it's already existed in Muslim traditions, but the hadith is da'if though. So this is what we do. We stone these three jamrat because the Prophet Muhammad did it, and these are rituals of Hajj. The reason why, we don't know why. We have no knowledge of that, right? There are some theories that are made up of this and that, and some exist in the weak hadith. So this is what happened. So basically, we're gonna see where J. Smith made the mistake right now. And now I'm going to expose the lies. Now J. Smith, as you can have seen in the first of the video, he said that the Muslims built another 3 stones, and then before, and also in the video, he said that the Muslims built two more jamarat, right? 2 more jamarat to stone. This is completely false. He's saying that at the time of the people, because people were all around, the place in Mecca, throwing at one stone, and so he said that they built. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. There was 3 pillars existed at the time of Prophet Muhammad. 3 pillars existed at the time of Prophet Muhammad. So here it says in Sahih al-Bukhari, as you can see the reference under, it says that narrated Salim ibn Umar used to do Rami of the Jamrat al-Dunya with 7 small stones and used to recite takbir on throwing every pebble. He then would go ahead till he reached the level ground, where he would stand facing the Qibla for a long time to invoke Allah while raising his hands while invoking. Then he would do Rami to Jamra al-Wusta, the middle Jamra, right? And he would, so this is another Jamra, right? This is the second Jamra. And then he would go to the left towards the middle ground, where he would stand facing the Qibla. He would remain standing there for a long period to invoke Allah while raising his hands, and would stand there for a long period. Then he would do Rami of the Jamratul Aqaba, right? Then he would do another Rami for another pole, for another pillar from the middle of the valley, but he would not stay by it, and then he would leave and say, I saw the Prophet Muhammad doing this. So he saw the Prophet Muhammad stone 3 Jamrat, right? The first Jamra, Jamratul Dunya, then Jamratul Wusta, the middle Jamra. Then he would do Rami of Jamratul Aqaba from the middle of the valley. He would do another, he would throw another rocks and another Jamra. So these are 3 Jamrat, and he said that I've seen the Prophet Muhammad do these 3. Do these things, meaning he would stone these 3 Jamarat, right? Exactly the way the Prophet Muhammad did it. So J. Smith has no clue what he's talking about, right?